the feeling of being satisfied. What does it mean to feel satisfied? And there's different kinds of satisfaction. And it isn't perpetual pleasure. It's I'm good now. I don't need anymore. What, like with the idea of entertainment, let's say, of feeling, I finished with that episode of TV, of Netflix, whatever. I finished with that episode. I'm good now. I've watched enough. A lot of people struggle to recognize that satiation, or to even consider it, which is how you get the phenomenon of binge watching. It's because people aren't considering if they feel satisfied or not. They're just looking to consume to kill time. It's like eating hamburgers because you're bored. But recognizing the feeling of satiation when you're like, I don't need any more of this. I'm going to be fine. If you eat too much, then you get a stomach ache. If you sit down for too long, hunched over at your computer, or hunched over in front of a TV screen, straining your eyes, then it's going to feel uncomfortable because you're pushing yourself beyond satiation. You're becoming bloated with media. And then it's not pleasant anymore. That's a lack of moderation. Being able to find moderation is something that, being able to live in moderation is something that I am paying much more attention to. And diet makes it really straightforward because you feel hunger and you feel your levels of energy for, like with sleep. Getting enough sleep, you don't feel super exhausted and tired throughout the day. Getting enough mental rest so that you're not constantly mentally strained, then you're not mentally exhausted. You are mentally clear, and there's mental clarity is such a difficult state to manage because there's so many little things that you have to satisfy in order to go along the way. Nutrition, of course, rest, of course, socialization to a degree as well. The feeling of being in good company, a freedom from existential dread of, oh God, everything I do is meaningful. Everything I do is meaningful. Saying that in a terrible tone. Everything I do is meaningless. That feeling of nihilism will keep people from being in a lively mental state. And that's something that I recognized as well. Just going around places, seeing people being very somber and withdrawn, anxious, defensive in certain public places, but not around neighborhoods where, like, you know, people are walking or jogging in some of the nice neighborhoods where there's a feeling of neighborliness in some places, but there's a feeling of somberness and of enforced gravity. People feel grave, feel like you have to take this seriously. No smiling or loud zone. There's that kind of feeling to a lot of public places as well, where you want to move away from that. You want to move towards places that have a feeling of neighborliness. That one drains you and makes you feel miserable, the other makes you feel all right. And again, it's not about feeling perpetual happiness. It's about feeling satisfied enough so that you're able to continue on for another day. It's one meal isn't enough to feed you for a month. I'm not going to go into stupid technical autistic details with like calorie intake or whatever. But in the same way, one social interaction isn't enough to satisfy you for a month. You need to have a regular, healthy flow of positive social interactions. And even if the expression of emotion is something that's done by like meeting your friends on voice channels online, or even just expressing your thoughts through singing, like singing karaoke, or expressing your thoughts through talking through things on voice recordings. That's that's an important part of clearing the air. That then allows you to engage in the creative process in a true way, where you're not getting this blockage from personal emotional issues that get in the way of what you're actually trying to express. When I want to sit down and write a sci-fi noir, I don't want to write about the existential dread of not being able to find a girlfriend in a dating market that is extremely skewed towards vanity because of things like Tinder and social media making people really vapid and overly focused on appearances and having no care whatsoever towards values or towards any sense of future, or having a sense of family where the very idea of motherhood is looked down upon or is seen as oppressive or something like that. And then you're always constantly walking on eggshells with everything that you talk about because there's so many taboo ideas that you end up not being able to express anything that is meaningful, when those are the very things that you want to express, but you can't put that on someone that you have a romantic entanglement with, that you intend on being romantically active with. You have to hide a lot of things. You have to play this game. You have to put up these appearances. There's nothing substantial that you can connect with on. And then even reaching out to people in general. Well, where do you go to find healthy people, healthy-minded people who are able to talk about meaningful ideas? Where it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be talking about heavy things constantly, but that you are able to express yourself socially to the degree of being satisfied. I think that's pretty good for a diatribe. Thank you for listening. And if anyone's curious about the music, this is from the Skyrim soundtrack. It's by Jeremy Soule. Various tracks from Skyrim, and I highly recommend that you listen to it if you are looking to relax. And I was able to relax a fair amount by expressing this, and now I think I'm past that blockage. That I think I understand. I think now I understand what that blockade of sorts was. Of why does it not feel right to be able to write? What's getting in the way? And it is emotions. It is wanting to express something, but what I want to write about is not the same as what I want to express. In this case, I want to finish up writing about technology and language exchange, but I have to express lots of emotions about satiation, about my current feeling of my experience in the world and what I've gone through recently with struggling to overcome some health problems, and what I've learned from it, and my goals of developing better habits out of all this. So finding blockages and resolving them is an important part of making progress. And reflection as well. When we're doing like technical sprints to develop a website, an agile process, after you're done with the sprint, you take a moment you have a sprint review. You look back on, okay, what went well, what can we do better? That process of reflection isn't stagnating. It's not biding your time. That process of reflection is part of progress towards your next small goal. So I'm learning life lessons through project management, through becoming, even though I'm on the technical side, by becoming more entangled with project management. I can extrapolate from that and consider how setting goals, reaching goals applies even to the necessity of you have to resolve this technical issue before you can move forward with this functionality. Well, if you apply that in a more human sense, you have to satisfy this emotional drive in order to achieve a state of mental clarity necessary to be able to creatively write in an effective manner without those emotions getting in the way. In order to get rid of those blockers, you have to find satisfaction. And how, that was always the big question. How you need to relax more. How? Part of it is expressing things honestly. And I have achieved that to a fair degree within this recording. And I'm glad to be able to share that by having this recorded. Thank you for listening. And I hope to share more with you in the future.